Good afternoon, everyone. So, how was the class beneficial yesterday? Do you want it to be taken regularly? वो नोट्स इसलिए शेयर नहीं किया मैंने जो कल दिखाया, क्योंकि उसमें मेरे को और थोड़ा चेंजेस करने हैं. सो दैट पीडीएफ में जो कल छोटा दिख रहा था, आई वांट टू मेक इट मोर ब्राइट. तो अभी जस्ट खाना खा के आपके क्लास में आया हूँ, सो आई एम नॉट गेटिंग द टाइम, बट आई विल डू दैट टुमारो बिकॉज टुमारो इज़ ऑफ. सो आपके लिए छुट्टी है कल. दसरा इज हॉलीडे. मेल और आ जाएगा. यू नो द शेड्यूल. पहले स्पैम में एडवर्टीजमेंट के मेल आते हैं, अब मेरे स्पैम में शुभ्रा रंजन के जा रहे हैं. इतने ज़्यादा मेल आते हैं. So I guess we are doing the climate. See, glacial landforms and जो desert topography है, मैं आधा घंटा लेके मे बी इन टूडेज लेक्चर या मे बी इन द सैटरडेज लेक्चर आधे घंटे में आई विल एक्सप्लेन यू, बिकॉज वो सिर्फ करना है हमें फॉर प्रीलिम्स. वी डू नॉट हैव टू डू इट फॉर द मेंस. अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट? कल दशहरा है. नहीं, आप लोग नहीं जा रहे, पर ये बिल्डिंग का जो मैनेजमेंट है वो लोग बिल्डिंग नहीं खोलेंगे. अपना फ्लोर का मैनेजमेंट इज़ डिफरेंट, बिल्डिंग का मैनेजमेंट इज़ डिफरेंट. सो उनको छुट्टी चाहिए, तो वो मेंटेन द बिल्डिंग. So they will help. I am quickly revising this. What is the importance of aerosols in the atmosphere? The importance of aerosols in the atmosphere is they will help in the formation of clouds. How do they help in the formation of clouds? Through the condensation and the formation of the cloud droplets around them. But what is happening is, over the period of time, this is their one importance, over the period of time, the amount of aerosols in this atmosphere has increased. And what are उसका इफेक्ट क्या होगा एरोसोल्स? एक जिस दिन में मैंने पढ़ाया था उसके 2-3 दिन बाद ये भी आया था पेपर में. दैट इज व्हाट इज द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ इंक्रीजिंग एरोसोल्स इन द एटमॉस्फेयर. सो व्हाट आर दिस? व्हाट इज हैपनिंग टू द दिल्ली का वेदर कंडीशन? सो इतने लोग बीमार है आजकल, रोज क्लास में से एक तो बीमार है ही. व्हाट इज दैट? कैंसर नहीं हुआ है. But yes, he is right. That is, there are respiratory problems that are happening. Why is it so? So can I say, Delhi का in fact कल की तो surprising news थी. For the first time, as bad as Delhi का quality was, New Bombay का air quality. New Bombay, Bombay में air quality should not be that bad. Bombay में हमेशा, no matter how much you pollute, Bombay में air quality should be very good. Problem of air pollution is in Delhi only. So Delhi का air quality is decreasing अभी, right? Pollution बढ़ रहा है. ब्रायन एडम्स ने पहली बार crowd के बारे में उसने उतना नहीं सोचा, but उसने smog. And his mother, as soon as he came from, went back from India, उसके mother ने उसको पहले hospital में भेजा कि जाके अपने lungs check कर गया. Because he had posted a photo of the Bryan Adams who had come to Gurgaon. He posted a photo, and for first time he had seen smog in life. इतना ज़्यादा smog in such a season. So what was the first thing his mother advised him in that tweet? Before coming home, go to the hospital as from the airport. So though Bryan Adams 60 साल का है, but उसकी mother आज भी she is more caring. So what is that? That is smog. दिल्ली में क्यों? स्टबल बर्निंग हो रहा है. इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया है, दिल्ली के आसपास इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया है. सो कोलकाता, चेन्नई और मुंबई के आसपास क्या है फिर? इंडस्ट्रियल नहीं है. दिल्ली लैंडलॉक्ड है. यस, आई गॉट वन पॉइंट हियर. दिल्ली इज लैंडलॉक्ड. सो व्हाट हैपेंस बिकॉज इट इज लैंडलॉक्ड? सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट नाउ The first basic question I am asking you, air condition ऊपर क्यों है? You already know the reason. ये ऊपर क्यों लगाया है? Why not in middle here, somewhere? Because why anywhere the air conditions are always at the top. Generally, and it should be at the top. Window AC भी it should be at the top. यहाँ पे rooms की बात छोड़ो, जो राजेंद्र नगर में है, उन्होंने एक रूम के अंदर जगह सिर्फ नीचे है तो नीचे एसी लगा दिया है. बट एयर कंडीशन आइडियली शुड बी एट द टॉप. व्हाई? बिकॉज कोल्ड एयर इज डेंसर and this cold air will try to sink. Apply this logic to the location of India. Equator, Tropic of Cancer, so tropical region, 0, 23 and a half. This is the region जहाँ पे we do not have winter season, इतना prominent. Plus, look at the shape of India. It is more nearer to the sea. So, moderating effect of the sea है. बट जैसे ही आप ट्रॉपिक ऑफ कैंसर को क्रॉस करते हो, पूरा लैंड मास है, एंड दिस इज वेयर यू कम इनटू द टेम्परेट रीजन. एंड टेम्परेट रीजन में विंटर्स एंड समर्स आर देयर. सो इन द विंटर सीजन, विद द अराइवल ऑफ विंटर्स, व्हाट हैज हैपेंड? द एयर विल स्टार्ट कूलिंग, एंड बिकॉज द एयर इज कोल्ड, वो ऊपर से नीचे आएगी. जब भी वो नीचे आएगी तो ये जो भी पोल्यूटेंट है, जो पूरे साल में हमने पोल्यूट किया है, ऑब्वियसली इट इज नाउ starting to come down, and therefore the air quality has decreased. So can I say one of the first implication of increasing aerosols in the atmosphere is decreasing air quality, air pollution? Because of increasing amount of aerosols in the atmosphere, there is large amount of air pollution. So that is the, so you can take down a statement, that is the topic is, what is the impact of what is the impact of increasing aerosols in the atmosphere. First is air pollution, and associated problems. So what are the associated problems? Respiratory diseases. आजकल skin diseases, irritation of eye, and more importantly, cardiac attacks. Respiratory problems में lung diseases, asthma, then bronchitis, etc. Eye में irritation of eyes, cardiac attack, heart attacks. Heart attacks are associated with increasing amount of pollution, because all this pollutant will ultimately, our skin is porous, इतना याद रखना, our skin is porous. You apply ointment, अंदर मसल ठीक हो जाता है, because skin में से oil can pass. So similarly, जितने भी pollutants है that settle on our skin, they go inside and mix in our blood. After mixing in our blood, they enter into the heart and ultimately heart attack. Increasing amount of heart attacks. And इसके लिए आपको दूर देखने की ज़रूरत नहीं. Recent cases, maybe हमारे हर एक के फ्रेंड सर्कल में ऐसा फ्रेंड है who is in his early 30s or late 20s जिसको हाई बीपी का प्रॉब्लम है और जिसको द हार्ट अटैक आ चुका है. You must be hearing numerous such cases, was exercising but died of heart attack. Understanding this? This is all an example of increasing amount of pollution. It is becoming a serious issue in countries such as India. It is becoming a very, very serious issue. And this is becoming a serious issue because, so you take down one line, this is more serious issue. This is a more serious issue in the urban regions. In the urban regions, because fog mixes with smoke to form smog, or fog mixes with haze, or the smoke mixes with haze and fog to form smaze. Smog is nothing but fog plus smoke. अब ये हम सब डिटेल में करेंगे while doing environment ecology. These are the topics of environment. But climate is the base of environment. Understanding this? Smaze. What is haze? What is haze? Go to any city, no matter which part of India. If you go to the top building and if you can see around the city, you will see a dust ka covering around the city. So that dust ka covering around the city is what is known as an haze. Covering of dust particles, aerosols around the city. Yes, the smog is associated with what problems? There are two kinds of smog. We'll do that while doing the temperature inversion. There is one normal smog, sulfur dioxide pollution. There is one smog that is associated with Delhi because it has largest number of vehicles, and it is known as photochemical smog. What is the impact of photochemical smog? The impact of photochemical smog is attention deficit disorder in the adults and mental retardedness in infants. That is, जो small children hai, they become mentally retarded. India is losing around 3% of its GDP every year because of environmental impacts. आज के मिंट में आर्टिकल है that because of environment and suicides, India may not achieve उसका demographic dividend. What do you mean by? Most of the young people, एक तो instant gratification की आदत लग गई है, especially to your generation. मैं थोड़ा transition phase में था. Instant gratification जो चाहिए, you want that. You want a phone? Yes. What used to have in our times? Parents used to promise for 90% by motorbike in 10th or 12th. 90% लेके भी आए तो मिलती थी साइकिल. So after that motorbike used to go कि चलो medical या engineering के बाद you take an admission in 12th, then I will give you a motorbike. Admission मिलने के बाद मिलता था Walkman और some gadget. Bike कभी नहीं मिली. So bike का सिर्फ सपना दिखाते रहे. So but that made sure that you studied properly and you had the habit of working hard. What is happening today? Instant gratification. Instant gratification, you want something, parents give it. Parents also are to be blamed, and even the media is to be blamed for that. And if you do not get it, then you become depressed. And if you cannot fight that, then suicides. This is what is happening in nowadays. So instant gratification is very, very bad. Materialism anyways is bad. Consumerism is bad, not materialism. So because of this, you just have an idea here what is a smog. And why in Delhi? Because out of all the three cities you have just seen, Delhi is the only one metro in India which is going to experience winters. Baki ka cities do not have winters. So the cold air is denser, and because the cold air is denser, it will try to settle down. Understanding this? Second impact is ये थोड़ा टेक्निकल है, try to understand this. Decrease in rainfall. I had given you a question also in the test. What is the composition of the atmosphere and how the human beings have altered. So you had to write there what is a global warming and the impact of aerosols. Understanding this? So why there is a decrease in the rainfall? Understand now again. This is a land and this is a water body. There is a concept of hydrological cycle. We are not going into that much technical amount. And this is the amount of aerosols that is present in the atmosphere. How the clouds are formed? Clouds are formed due to heating and evaporation of water droplets. So water droplet, when it rises up, it starts cooling at the rate of 6.5 degrees Celsius for every kilometers. कोई भी thing, that is when you go up, the atmosphere will start cooling. Next time when you are on flight and अगर flight का pilot is proactive, वो कभी-कभी he will declare that temperature outside. So he will say the temperature outside temperature is minus something degrees Celsius. Why? Because as you go up, the temperature goes on decreasing at this rate. So when the temperature decreases, vapor after cooling becomes water, and water after cooling becomes snow. So because of the decrease of the temperature, water or snow particles require a resting place. Air does not require a resting place, but water or snow particles require something जिसके ऊपर the molecules can stick. So these molecules will stick and they will form, resulting into formation of cloud droplets. With the movement of air, the cloud droplets will collide. We have written this, coalesce, and they will form large amount of clouds. Fine. But if the amount of aerosols are same, the amount of aerosols have increased. Why they have increased? Due to anthropogenic interventions, human interventions. अब the air starts rising upwards. Water vapor उतना ही है, but what have increased is उसका molecules जिसके ऊपर it can rest. So the same water vapor which was there, it is now getting split into smaller cloud droplets. Getting it? The same water vapor which was found, the water उतना ही है, the aerosols have increased. So if the same water vapor was there, this is an amount of water vapor. Initially it was resting only on 1, now it has got a chance to rest on maybe 4. So can I say the water droplet which will be formed here will be smaller? Right? So they will form smaller water droplets. Now the problem with the smaller water droplets is, as soon as the sunlight will come, they will get evaporated. And because they get evaporated, they will not form clouds. जब clouds नहीं है, तो they will be in rainfall. Understanding this? So that is happening. इसीलिए you should know that 2018 का winter was the driest winter ever recorded in Delhi after 1902. It was the driest winter. And because it was the driest winter ever recorded, it has effect on the cropping pattern. You should thank nature that this year was La Nina year. Otherwise, taking in this classroom would have been difficult for me. What has happened due to La Nina? There was heavy rainfall, and this heavy rainfall has resulted in जितना भी pollution है, नीचे आके पानी pollute हो गया, air नहीं pollute हुआ. Pollution, air pollution नहीं तो क्या होगा? Water pollution होगा, because they will fall down and ultimately go into the river. So हमें तो आदत है in developing nations water pollution हो सबकी. So we are not that much worried about the water pollution, but air pollution is directly affecting our productivity. Water pollution is affecting our liver, our kidney, etc. And they can take the stress, they can take the time. It is not just affecting our daily productivity. So over the period of time, this is what, and this came on Hindu ka article. Understanding this? But even the amount of water vapor will not be same. Why? Because now there is a large amount of aerosols, so सबसे पहले the sunlight itself will be blocked. And because the sunlight will be blocked, there will be less heating. And therefore, we say this has resulted into short-term global cooling. Short-term global cooling. So, what is Indian climate? Monsoon. Rainfall. For rainfall, there has to be water. For water, there has to be evaporation, and evaporation ke liye there has to be heat. See, you know monsoon type of climate even without studying. Isliye you say in your daily life, today it is extremely hot, there are high chances of rain. What does it mean? That you know there will be greater amount of evaporation in the evening. So that is the second impact that is happening, that is there is a decrease in the rainfall and there is an global cooling, but short-term global cooling. Now, why short-term global cooling? That is because of this kind of the heat which is released by the earth, it is also trapped. It also cannot escape in the upper atmosphere because of large amount of aerosols. So long term mein there will be global heating and short term mein there will be global cooling. But one of the third biggest problem is, I am telling you all the problem here is global dimming. I guess I have told you this. What is global dimming? Sunlight is less and it is going to affect which countries? It is going to affect tropical nations like us, because we are dependent on agriculture and agriculture is dependent on rainfall. So what is going to be less is the evaporation is going to be less. Understanding this? And thus ये पूरा topic है this thing. So when you are going through that article, जो एक famous article था, pollution cools the monsoon days, September 12th, that was too technical for you. That will be, even in this class, वो article will be understood only by geography optional students, because that talks about a process of cloud formation known as Bergeron process. It will not be understood by a general studies का student, and उसकी ज़रूरत is also not there. There is no need of you to understand. If you have understood why the cloud droplets are reduced, that is what is required in GS. Understanding? Have you understood why the rainfall is reduced? Everyone? And this is going to increase. Why? Because Diwali is approaching. Firecrackers. Fine? So this is going to increase because stubble burning will increase. This is going to increase because vehicles बढ़ने ही वाले हैं. Diwali महासेल. आज कल दशहरा है. दशहरा is a bigger मुहूर्त. Right? This is going to increase because हर गाड़ी अपना SUV का मॉडल लेके आ रही है. Everyone wants a powerful car. चाहे वो 30 km/h की स्पीड पे ही जाए. My house is 16 kilometers away from here and I take minimum 50 minutes to reach. मतलब car is covering somewhere around 3 minutes per hour per kilometer. Car is covering, and human being can cover that speed at 6 minutes. We require 6 minutes to cover 1 kilometer by walking. Car जा रही है 3 minutes per kilometer. So that is when we'll do transportation in countries like India, we spend 2 years of our life in traffic jams. अगर आप daily travel कर रहे हो, you spend 2 years of your life in traffic jams. These are the, and use this examples in the exam. Highlight ये सब data. Productivity से loss हो रही है, then you will get marks. Generalized answer in सबके points are same generalized, but you should substantiate that with the data. Fine with this? So you can take down decrease in the rainfall. Aerosols are important because they help in formation of clouds. Through the process of condensation, full stop. Therefore they either act as cloud condensation nuclei. They act as cloud condensation nuclei or hygroscopic nuclei. Remember these keywords even for prelims. What is cloud condensation nuclei? What is hygroscopic nuclei? Change your paragraph. But the increasing amount of aerosols, as per the recent studies, are associated with decrease in the rainfall, because of following two reasons. First reason, as the aerosols increase, the same water droplet is split into tiny hygroscopic hygro means water, scopic इसलिए because they are microscopically small, tiny hygroscopic hygro means water, hydro water, Greek word से hygro, tiny hygroscopic nuclei, अगर ये टेक्निकल लग रहा है वर्ड तो स्मॉल क्लाउड ड्रॉपलेट्स. Tiny hygroscopic nuclei means small cloud droplets, which are easily evaporated by insolation. Insolation का normal word sun rays. What is insolation? Incoming solar radiation, मतलब sun rays. Climate में you have to use such words. By insolation, incoming solar radiation. In Hindi, insolation means गर्मी, धूप. धूप and गर्मी में, that is the difference between insolation, धूप, गर्मी, temperature. It is different. Nowadays insolation is high, temperature is less. Q temperature is less, you will understand at the end of climate. Understanding this? So the same technique, the reason is they are easily evaporated by insolation. Hence reducing the formation of clouds. And reducing rainfall. Reducing the formation of clouds and reducing rainfall. That is why I had asked you a question, if you walk through clouds, so will you get wet? No. Why? Because our body का heat, अब वो sun का heat है, which is obviously much times greater than our body's heat. This is the first point. Second, due to aerosols, the amount of sunlight itself is reduced. The amount of sunlight reaching the earth is reduced, and hence evaporation decreases. Decreasing the amount of water vapor available to form clouds. Water vapor available to form clouds, decreasing the amount of water vapor available to form clouds. This is more this is more dangerous, or this is more harmful. This is more harmful for tropical nations such as India. This is more harmful for tropical nations such as India, which has monsoon type of climate, because the monsoon type of climate depends upon differential heating of land and water. Differential heating of land and water. What do you mean by differential heating? Different time taken. That is, land की property है, it gets hot as well as cold at a very, very faster rate. Water की property is, water has the capacity to retain heat. So water takes time to get heated and it takes time to get colder. You don't have to even look at land and water. आप सिर्फ सुबह का चाय you imagine. What do you do? बर्तन गर्म होता है very fast and after some time चाय उबलने लगती है. Why? That is the differential rate of heating. After that you put that in the cup. Cup initially is very hot, but within some seconds the cup will lose its heat. But अंदर की चाय, the tea is warmer. Apply the same logic to during the summer season. The entire landmass of India becomes very, very hot. And because it becomes very hot, low pressure develops on this landmass. The water surrounding Indian Ocean ka water or surrounding Indian Ocean ka water is very, very hot. Evaporation is there. So this becomes very hot. This is comparatively less hot because water will take time to get heated. So water is under comparative high pressure. You will understand what is this high pressure and low pressure abhi. Plus, because of the evaporation, there is a formation of clouds. Now there is a law of wind, that wind always flows from high pressure to low pressure. So all this wind comes towards India. When they come towards India, Himalayas do not allow the winds to cross. So they get stagnant over India, and after becoming stagnant over India, they give rainfall to entire India, and we will call this as a monsoon type of climate. What is happening? Evaporation is decreasing. So obviously rainfall is decreasing. Understanding this? Same point mein therefore in monsoon type of climate, the number of dry days are increasing. The number of dry days are increasing. Number of the dry days are increasing. Case study, the formation of and its impact. Formation of Asian brown cloud and its impact. Now, when you go home, just remember the factual data, that is prelims. When you remember the case studies, understand the concept, that is mains. Climatology is important for both prelims and mains. Have a very good command over climatology, you will have good command over Indian monsoon, Indian vegetation, Indian crops, Indian cropping pattern, and entire environment and ecology. So prelims ke 20 questions directly or indirectly, that means 40 marks directly or indirectly comes from this topic. So you have to just worry about, for if your goal is just passing prelims, you have to worry about only 60 marks, and 60 marks के लिए पूरा बाकी का GS का syllabus बचा है. Understanding this? So this is the most core area in geography, climate and environment, and both of them are highly interlinked. Understanding this? How they are highly interlinked? Because climate will determine the environment, environment will determine the biome, biome determines the ecology, ecology determines characteristics. By looking at your face, I can generally tell which part of India you belong to by looking at your facial characteristics. So that is because you have been shaped due to the climate that is present in your area. Okay, facial thoda, and also you have been shaped due to ethnicity. Also you have been shaped ethnicity कि कहाँ से आपके पूर्वज have migrated. So you belong to Rajasthan. So the people have migrated, that is ethnicity, but most importantly it is based on our today's racial characteristics. See, ऐसा नहीं होता just his style, his way of living, it all reflects. That is what your ethnicity you carry. ये culture, this is what is known as culture. And फिर ये मंदिर, मस्जिद, ये सब civilization. That is the difference. We are a reflection of our culture. So what that is, this is non-material aspect, and it is also reflected by climate. Climate इतना ज़्यादा important role नहीं play करता. Otherwise, all the Indians who have settled in USA would have turned like Europeans, extremely white. नहीं, हमारा brown color हमें छोड़ता नहीं है. We are, that is, इसका guarantee वाला color है हमारा. We will never leave us. Similarly, if you go and settle in Africa, it does not mean we will turn entirely black, because there are some kind of the, generally third generation के बाद the effects of climate are seen in the color, melanin content in the body. Third generation के बाद. So, but it is more or less related. And this biomes, environment, etc. is what is what is known as an biosphere. फिर जहाँ जहाँ important species है, then it is just filling the gaps. Keystone species are what, animals are what. But if you understand this conceptual part, then you can easily fill up the gaps. So this concept is what is new to us, what is known as an Asian brown cloud. I will not discuss in today's lecture. This Asian brown cloud we will discuss when there is temperature inversion, because Asian brown cloud के लिए you should know what are the wind का direction, etc. Now Asian brown cloud is a concept of very brownish smog that is present over Pakistan, India and China, discovered in 1999. And this is nothing but a huge layer of air pollution which is present over these three countries of the world. No other human-made air pollution. Why? Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, one of the most populated region, agriculturally also important, stubble burning, winter season, Delhi, China, populated countries, large amount of air pollution because of vehicles, developing nations, so large amount of atmospheric dust due to construction. Understanding this? So thankfully we have not yet reached to the China's level in the terms of pollution कि you are walking on the road and suddenly इतना ज़्यादा is the pollution कि you have to pay 5 rupees and take an oxygen from the oxygen booth which are present in China. At least we are not at that level. In China there are oxygen booths. That is जैसे in India we had telephone booths. वैसे they have oxygen booths. So much is the bad air quality, you have to go inside, take a mask of oxygen, apply it and take a deep breath for some time and then again continue your work. So we have not yet reached, but China is fighting air pollution, we are not fighting air pollution. We are fighting politics here. Kejriwal is blaming Punjab and Haryana. Haryana is blaming central government. Haryana nahi, Punjab is blaming central government. हरियाणा में तो सेम ही गवर्नमेंट है, so they cannot blame the central government. So we are soon going to reach that place. That is जहाँ पे air pollution. And remember, today India has the largest number of people dying due to air pollution, outdoor air pollution. We have the largest number of people dying due to outdoor air pollution. And just one statement I am giving you, that in India indoor air pollution is more greater than outdoor air pollution. नेचर का काम ही तो हम बिगाड़ रहे हैं. Like, see, there is a way of living or there is a way of living healthy. रहने के लिए तो आप गोली खा के और ये सब खा के you can extend your life till this, that is 70-80, but at the cost कि मिठाई का सिर्फ डब्बा देखो पर साथ में इंसुलिन लो. So what is the use? So all these things are there. So that is what is Asian brown cloud. नहीं, even in the cities. This is giving cold air, but उसके साथ साथ it is giving HFC. This is volatile organic compound. ये है plastic paint. It is giving out volatile organic compounds. All these are examples of जितना भी हमारे घर में ये plastics, all this give away volatile organic compounds, and volatile organic compounds are carcinogens. They cause cancer. One of the biggest cause of cancer today is plastic. That is, and drinking plastic bottle में water is directly related to increasing rate of cancers in India. Remember, %32% increase in the cancers are related to plastics. Third effect, but case study Asian brown cloud, that is depending upon कैसे exam में question आता है. Generally Asian brown cloud पे there will be a separate question itself. What is the phenomena of Asian brown cloud and what are उसका impacts. Third, because of aerosols, the amount of insolation or sunlight has decreased. इसका क्या इफेक्ट हो सकता है? which has negatively affected the rate of photosynthesis, affecting food production. affecting food production. In the cities, global dimming and phytopollution. In the cities, global dimming and phytopollution. Global dimming and phytopollution. Phytopollution मतलब phyto means light. Pollution due to light. Phytopollution, lights in the cities. Mall ki lights, street lights, artificial lights which are there during the night time. दिन में हम light कम कर रहे हैं और रात को हम light बढ़ा रहे हैं. So phytopollution, that is pollution due to light, is affecting the biological clock. Is affecting the biological clock in plants and animals. Affecting the biological clock in the plants and animals. Promoting infertility. Promoting infertility. Just one case. That is, and you can see the effect of phytopollution. People in cities, they will wake up in the night and they are sleepy during the daytime. And you go into village, रात को 9 या 10 बजे the entire village will sleep and 5 o'clock they are awake. They are energetic. But हमारे यहाँ पे more light comes in the evening, and because more light is there, plus आजकल तो decentralized lightning mobile. So we can say तो light है तो हमारी और 12, 1, 2, 3 बजे. So we sleep very late. It affects the productivity in long run. That is, if you have a habit of sitting entire night, it affects the productivity in the exam. Because अभी तो इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता because now CSAT is not there. CSAT is just a passing. But when the CSAT was there, the first thing any teacher or any class people used to say, or even seniors used to say, क्या करूँ for exam? They used to say, रात को सो जाओ. That is because CSAT did not depend on studies. CSAT depended on your speed. And speed came with if your mind was fresh. I have seen many examples. People, engineering background, IITians, CAT qualified people. रात भर GS पढ़ते रहे, went directly to the exam, and CSAT में इतना slow attempt कि दो people who should have attempted around 78 out of 80 attempt only 50, 55 and out of the race. Prelims ही pass नहीं. GS में more than average marks. CSAT में very less marks. So thankfully अब इतना ज़्यादा, but it affects the mains because you have to be very fresh. The ideas have to be very, otherwise disoriented रहते हो आप entire day.
So phytopollution का बस ये concept है कि light.
Phyto is artificial light pollution का. Pollution is change in the natural environments or settings. In air, water, light, anything. Even noise is a pollution. Migratory birds को affect करेगा. Birds की infertility, birds का egg नहीं बनता, females में egg नहीं बनता. So as a result of this, there is large amount of infertility. Phytopollution, the studies have shown जिस city में phytopollution, artificial lightning is very high, उस city में IVF clinics का number ज़्यादा है. IVF clinics का number ज़्यादा है. What does it mean? कि fertility is more, infertility is more in that. So this is an example. Your body has a biological clock. Sleep is one of the most important process. Proper sleep. ऐसा नहीं कि 15 घंटे सो रहे हो. Sleep, proper sleep is an important process because that is the only time when your cells will regenerate. So that entire rhythm is changing. So therefore you see, people who work in call centers or BPOs, उनका सैलरी स्टार्टिंग से बहुत हाई होती है. क्यों? क्योंकि उनको पता है कि कोई यहाँ पे टिकता नहीं है. रात को जो यूएस क्लॉक पे चलते हैं, the people who work on the US clock, within 1 year they get depressed. Within 1 year, because they don't see light only. So business, that was one of the biggest problem of call center industry. So therefore, in spite of the salaries being very high, people never wanted to work in call centers. One of the reasons. Greater amount of aerosols. Fourth point, greater amount of aerosols is associated with acid rainfall. Is associated with the acid rainfall, that is the wet and the dry deposition in the atmosphere. Bracket wet and dry. Acid rain matlab zaruri nahi that rain has to be there, even the smoke or the dust that is there, it will settle down. Dry deposition example, park your car outside, very clean car, let it be outside for 12 hours in Delhi, दूसरे दिन धूल जम जाएगी उसके ऊपर. दैट इज एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ ड्राई डिपोजिशन. बारिश नहीं है, शाम तक मतलब शाम तक ही जम जाएगी. सो दैट इज एन ड्राई डिपोजिशन. वेट डिपोजिशन व्हेन द रेन फॉल्स. सो दैट इज व्हाई योर पेरेंट्स विल एडवाइज यू और द ओल्डर पीपल विल एडवाइज यू नॉट to get wet in the first rain, because it will initially take out all the pollutants. It is highly acidic. Understanding this? Not fifth point. The aerosols which are deposited, the aerosols which are deposited, the aerosols which are deposited get settled on the plants, reducing the surface area, and thus decreasing the photosynthesis. Thus decreasing the photosynthesis. Thus decreasing the photosynthesis. Fine with this? Every point. Now, whenever you are reading the newspaper, if any of the news comes which with the points which I have made you write, it can be pollution, it can be steps to fight pollution, that is graded action plan, it can be national ambient air quality index, it can be air quality index. So you should just keep a space. See, there are two ways of making notes. One is this way and one is this way. In this way, when you make notes, leaving some space, whatever comes in current, you can put it here itself. Or you can use this for revision, micro topics. यहाँ पे there is no scope of the updating this. So थोड़ा ब्लैंक स्पेस रखो क्लाइमेट में, बिकॉज क्लाइमेट में हमेशा या लास्ट में पेज छोड़ दो, जैसे ये है, तो थोड़ा एक एक टॉपिक के बाद लीव सम स्पेस सो दैट यू कैन अपडेट, बिकॉज क्लाइमेट इज डायनामिक. इट इज अनलाइक जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी. हिमालयाज बन गए, अब एंड तक हिमालयाज रहेंगे. उसमें क्या होगा डायनामिक? दैट इज अर्थक्वेक विल बी डायनामिक. मैकेनिज्म इज सेम, बट क्लाइमेट विल कीप ऑन चेंजिंग एवरी डे. So if such is the question, you see GS का ideal question ऐसे होता है. This is how the GS का typical question is. That means the question is not asking on a single dimension. You read the question again, there are three different parts of the question. Though aerosols are important for certain weather phenomena, so important for certain weather phenomena, anthropogenic emissions, human beings, of the aerosols are responsible for negative changes on weather as well as human life. So you have to elaborate that. Now you just start your answer कि these are the problems, pollution, etc., etc. And if this question is of 10 marks, no matter how much better you write, you will not get more than 3 marks because you have not answered the 3 parts of the question. Therefore, GS के लिए depth is not required. You should have more points, more the variation. So there are 3 things here. You have to tell about the importance of aerosols. Then you have to tell what are the sources of human emission of aerosols, how we have increased, and then you have to tell what are the negative changes. So this ideal answer will be the aerosols and its importance in the formation of clouds. The second part of this answer will be, you can show with this help of a block diagram or a flow chart, what are the human emissions or how human being has increase in the construction activities, vehicular emissions, industrial pollution. Then more and more weathering, deep tillage. Aajkal concept is coming of zero tillage. So deep tillage, stubble burning, weathering increase करता है of the rocks. कार्बन साइकिल पे भी इफेक्ट डालता है और दूसरा एरोसोल्स भी इंक्रीज कर रहा है, दोनों है. So zero tillage will help in reducing pollution also, but reducing more importantly for greenhouse gas emissions, carbon. So पहले the people used to do tillage with the help of bullocks in tropical countries like India. Deep tillage, that was the normal tillage. उसका reason था to increase the oxygen content in the soil. Then came tractors, which started plowing very deep, and that started destroying the soil ka structure and releasing more carbon emissions, and it resulted into more soil erosion. So to avoid that, we are coming with the concept of zero tillage. So tillage is good. What is bad is with heavy agriculture equipments, which is doing more than what should be required. So say the entire structure of the soil is destroyed. Soil ka structure will support fertility. And then when you write this answer properly, you can get 7 to 8 marks also. So take this as an assignment. Try to make the use of flow charts. That is, देखो पूरा points में ये नहीं लिख सकते. So flow chart means sources of emission, and you write the different sources, and then impacts. Understanding this? 200 words. 200 words रखो. Why 200 words is ideal? Because question can be 150 words or 250 words. 200 to 250 is easy. 200 to 150 compress karna is also easy. So you should always have some 200 words ready for any answer. Then you can increase or compress it. Generally, when we mean structure means vertical. That is, if this is our earth, and then what is the atmosphere? Gaseous envelope. So when we do the structure, जो part which is nearest, it is troposphere. उसके बाद the second is stratosphere. उसके बाद the third is mesosphere. After that ionosphere. And then we have exosphere. Ionosphere and exosphere are also known as thermosphere. They are also known as heterosphere. They are also known as mesostrato and tropo as homosphere. Where do we stay? We stay in the troposphere. So no need of this diagram, I just gave you to show that the atmosphere is divided into concentric layers, concentric zones. जो diagram बनाना है exam के लिए will make it differently. वो diagram will be graph. You must have seen in NCERT. So that is the diagram we are required for the exam. Have you heard about the concept of urban heat island? What is that urban heat island? Urban heat island is the concept, the urban regions, city ka regions always has greater temperature than the surrounding villages or surrounding green areas, and that is what is urban heat island. तो rainfall भी अलग होगा, air pollution भी ज़्यादा होगा, density भी ज़्यादा होगी. That is what is urban heat island. So many people here will be going home on Diwali. So those who are going home on Diwali, जिनका घर दिल्ली NCR region में नहीं है, those who are going home, so you will see as soon as you come back to Delhi, the breath will become more and more faster. And you will feel initially, जैसे ही आप enter करोगे in Delhi, initially for 1 or 2 days, you will feel कि there is a problem in breathing. That is the air pollution. But once you start staying in Delhi, it will be very, very normal. Because our body can adapt. So when we say structure of the atmosphere, we'll divide this. ये सब पूरा मेंस में नहीं लिखना है. This is just a start here. One is on the basis of chemical composition. And one is on the basis of temperature. On the basis of chemical composition, we divide it into homosphere and into heterosphere. Homosphere, it is because, see, the word is homo. Homo means same. Sphere means area. Hetero, different. So, homosphere, that is the composition of the gases is more or less same, or is same. That is entirely in homosphere. You will find it is the most important gas is nitrogen. उसके बाद it is oxygen. उसके बाद it is argon. Carbon dioxide is there. In some region, ozone is greater. But gases are mixed in the different proportion. That is, if we go on the earth, homosphere में troposphere. You already know what it is composed of. Nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21%. Then we go to the next layer, that is the stratosphere. यहाँ पे ozone gas increase होता है in the concentration, but other gases are also present. Then we go to the mesosphere. Again the gases will be present in more or less the same proportion. But once we go to the ionosphere, you will find only molecular nitrogen at one level. उसके ऊपर जाओगे, you will find only molecular oxygen at other level. उसके ऊपर जाओगे तो you will find only molecular helium और हाइड्रोजन. उसके ऊपर जाओगे तो सिर्फ हीलियम मिलेगा, बाकी कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. So can I say each and every layer has different gases and therefore the name is heterosphere. यहाँ पे the gases are in mixed proportion. Understanding this? So homosphere is further divided into two: tropo, strato and meso, while the heterosphere is divided into ionosphere. उसके बाद exosphere. Understanding this? Now temperature wise, this is what is important. So whenever वैसे इतना easy question आने के chances बहुत कम है in the mains. Write a short note on the composition of the structure of the atmosphere. But in case if it comes, give this only at the passing reference. That is, the atmosphere is divided into homosphere and heterosphere. Homosphere, the composition of the gases are same. Heterosphere, the composition of the gases is different. But our 90% answer will be on what we are going to study now. And on the temperature, it is divided into from ground to the top into tropo, strato, सबके बाद स्पीयर आएगा बाद में, मेसो 0 किलोमीटर ग्राउंड, उसके बाद एक्सो, एक्सो इंटू आयनो एंड एक्सो. Exosphere, etc. सबके बाद sphere will come. So this is how for prelims, in case they ask you from bottom to top, what are the different layers of the atmosphere. Very simple to remember, रटने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Understand the meaning of each word. Strato means second, so second layer. Meso का मतलब है middle, it is a middle layer. Iono का मतलब है because it is presence of ions, charged particles. And exo, outside. Tropo, tropo means the zone where there is mixing of air. How does the air mix? Through winds. That is the only region where winds are present. So if the winds are present, so if the wind is coming from sea to the land, rainfall. If it is going from land to the sea, dry climate. So can I say because of the winds there will be weather, and because of the weather there will be life. So life will be there only in the troposphere. Now you understand this diagram, then I will explain you in detail. Generally we get very much applied questions from this topic. this diagram is nothing but a graph of temperature versus height. Can I continue? In this lower atmosphere, as we go up, temperature जो भी है ground का, it is somewhere around 21-22 degrees Celsius. It will keep on decreasing, and it will keep on getting lesser. And this rate of decrease of temperature will ultimately be up to minus 60 degrees Celsius. After that, the rate of temperature decrease will stop. So this layer in which the temperature goes on decreasing with the increasing depth, height, is what is known as troposphere. It is what is known as an troposphere. What is the height of troposphere? Varies. It will vary from 18 to 8 kilometers from the ground, or 6 to 16 kilometers from the ground. After that, the rate of decrease of temperature will stop. जहाँ पे the rate of decrease of temperature stops, it is known as tropopause. Tropopause. After that, temperature goes on increasing with the increasing height, and this increase of temperature with the increasing height will occur up to, that is from minus 60, the temperature will go on increasing and it will become again 0 degrees Celsius. Up to the height of, will come to y. First understand what is the temperature distribution. Up to the height of 50 kilometers. Then again the temperature ka increase stops. So this second layer, जहाँ पे the temperature increases, is what is known as a stratosphere. Is what is known as a stratosphere. And जहाँ पे this rate of decrease of temperature stops, it is stratopause. That is known as a stratopause. After that again, the temperature goes on decreasing. It decreases to such an extent that this region is the coldest layer of the atmosphere, and this happens up till 80 kilometers, जहाँ पे the temperature will be varying from minus 80 to minus 100 kilometers. And this region is what is known as a mesosphere. And जहाँ पे the rate of decrease of temperature stops, again it is mesopause. And after that again the temperature goes on increasing, and it increases to such an extent that it becomes very very high. इसीलिए this region is what is known as a thermosphere, which is further divided into exosphere and ionosphere. रिमेंबर दिस डायग्राम. एग्जाम में आपको यही डायग्राम बनाना है, मेरे को इसमें बहुत सारे चेंजेस करने हो टू एक्सप्लेन यू. सो मेक दिस डायग्राम. Can I continue? Whenever you make such in the exam, make sure that you show the layers. There are many people who draw directly pointed नहीं, यहाँ पे transition zone भी दिखाने हैं. So, can I say this is nothing but homosphere? Right? And this is heterosphere. उसके ऊपर थर्मोस्फीयर या एक्सोस्फीयर. So what do you mean by troposphere? Troposphere is the area where there is a mixing of the winds. Understand here, troposphere is the area where the winds or there is a mixing of air. Ab how do the air mix? Air mixes in two ways. What you will call this? Horizontal or vertical mixing? Horizontal. Horizontal mixing. इसको आप कहोगे advection. No need of writing all this. Advection is nothing but wind. And अगर कोई air if it becomes warmer तो it will vertically rise upwards. And whenever anything rise upwards vertically, we have just done geomorphology. What you will call this as? Convection. So this is the region where we have advection and convection. So can I say this is the region where we have vertical wind shear and horizontal wind movement? Vertical shear of air and horizontal movement of wind. You will never call this as wind. Wind is what? Advection. That means wind always has to be horizontal. Wind will never be from in the vertical manner. Vertical manner is generally convection. And this is not how wind goes. This is the diagram. In reality, it will be. This is how the air will go up. This is how the air goes upwards. This is what is the convection. So, why the word troposphere? Tropo means zone of mixing. Tropo means mixing. So, troposphere means where there is mixing. And how does the mixing occurs? Mixing occurs through the advection and the convection mechanism. That is this is the zone where there is a mixing up of an air. This is the zone where we have high mountains. This is the zone because of mixing of air we have winds. This is the zone where we have clouds. And this is the zone where we have all weather phenomena, rain, fogs, sun, etc. And therefore, this is the only zone on the surface of the earth where life is possible. Understanding this? This is the only zone where the life is possible. The zone where mixing of the air stops is known as tropo is mixing. Pause matlab mixing has stopped is what is known as an tropopause. And therefore, because of the mixing being stopping, tropopause is considered best for flying aircrafts. Tropopause is considered best for flying the aircrafts. Tropopause or lower stratosphere. It is because wherever there is mixing, so if you are going against the direction of wind, speed of the wind is reduced. So the speed of the plane is reduced due to friction. So plane has to put more energy, more fuel. If air is going up and down, flight upar niche hota hai, what is known as turbulence. So to avoid all this weather phenomena, the flights, long distance flights, they generally go in the tropopause. And jet planes, supersonic jet planes, they flow in the stratosphere. They flow in the stratosphere. The reason for this is, his doubt is why? Because the winds are not concerned, the planes are not concerned much about the ground wind. The planes are much concerned about one of the strongest wind ever present, which flows in the upper atmosphere, and this wind is what is known as an jet streams. And winds are more winds are also, the planes are more aware of one of the strongest clouds, jiska energy is equal to 10,000 nuclear bombs. And we will call this as cumulonimbus cloud. Bermuda Triangle. ऐसा नहीं है, तो सिर्फ CIA ने स्टोरी बनाई थी to stop Russian planes from flying over that region. एक ज़माना था when there was a Cold War, Bermuda Triangle was in the news. अब with the collapse of USSR, Bermuda Triangle भी गायब हो गया कि अर्थ का magnetic property was dependent only on socialist regime of USSR. वो CIA का एक स्टोरी था. नेशनल ज्योग्राफी के जो भी डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज है दे आर अमेरिकन चैनल्स. हाँ, पर ऐसा कुछ नहीं वहाँ, ज़रूरी नहीं है. नेट जो वो शो करेगा जो उसका स्पॉन्सर करेगा, वो जो स्टडी स्पॉन्सर करेगा. पीछे व्हाट यू नो, वी डू नॉट नो मेनी ऑफ द थिंग्स. So don't worry about that thing. That Bermuda Triangle is associated with ocean currents. It has nothing to do with the weather phenomena. So Bermuda Triangle wala concept also we will solve, but while doing the ocean currents. Fine with this? Have you understood this? So if question comes, which is best for flying the aircraft? Tropopause. What is the chief characteristics of the troposphere? The temperature goes on decreasing with the increasing height. Understanding this? Third chief characteristics, all the weather phenomena occurs in this region. Fourth chief characteristics, the life is present only in that. Fifth, first you write this fourth. Fifth is thoda technical, so I will require the explanation. You can take troposphere. Troposphere. It is the zone of mixing of air currents. It is the zone of mixing of air currents. It is the zone of mixing of the air currents. In this region, there is both vertical and horizontal mixing of air. There is both vertical and horizontal mixing of air. There is both vertical and horizontal mixing of the air. Next point. It is the lowermost layer. It is the lowermost layer. And also the most important layer. Because all the weather and climatic phenomena, and also the most important layer, because all the weather and climatic phenomena occurs in this zone. Phenomena occurs in this zone. So clouds, rain, condensation, precipitation, occur only in the troposphere. Next point. This is very important point. In troposphere, the temperature decreases. With the increasing height. Temperature decreases with increasing height at an average rate of 6.5 degrees Celsius for every kilometer, known as, what it is known as? Environmental lapse rate or normal lapse rate. Known as environmental lapse rate or normal lapse rate. ये याद रखो 6.5 degree Celsius for every kilometer. Normal lapse rate or environmental lapse rate. What is the source of heating of the atmosphere? Earth or sun? We have done Earth. So when we go, which radiation? There are two kinds of radiations. So terrestrial radiation. So as we are going up away from the Earth, we are going away from the source of the heat, right? Therefore the temperature will go on decreasing. Understanding this? Because the atmosphere, lower jo atmosphere, it is not heated by the sun, it is heated by the Earth. And as we are going up from the Earth, the temperature goes on decreasing at the rate of 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Next point. The zone where this mixing stops, is known as tropopause. The height of the tropopause height of the tropopause is around 16 to 18. वेरिएशन होता है हाइट में 16 to 18 kilometers over equator, while it is 6 to 8 kilometers over poles. So where is the zone height of the tropopause lesser? Poles पे. It is 6 to 8 kilometers over the poles. Therefore, temperature at tropopause, the temperature at tropopause. Now before I dictate further, tell me temperature at the ground, not at the tropopause. Temperature at the ground is greater over the equator या over the poles? टेम्परेचर कहाँ ज़्यादा है? एट द ग्राउंड, इक्वेटर. कितना है? समवेयर अराउंड 35 डिग्री सेल्सियस. व्हाट इज द टेम्परेचर एट द पोल्स? माइनस में है. इट इज वेरी कोल्ड. फाइन विद दिस? नाउ कंटिन्यू राइटिंग. टेम्परेचर एट ट्रोपोपॉज ओवर द इक्वेटर, इज लेसर, ब्रैकेट में -65 डिग्री सेल्सियस, lesser, -65 degree Celsius than compared to the poles, as compared to the poles, -45 degree Celsius, -45 degree Celsius. Temperature over the equator is lesser. कहाँ पे? At the tropopause as compared to the poles. Poles पे कितना है? -45. Equator पे how much it is? -65. Can you tell me the reason? कितना difference है height का? 10 kilometers. So the air is going to rise up by 10 kilometers. Whatever the air का temperature over the equator versus pole, so it is somewhat like this. This is the tropopause. If this red line is the tropopause, and ये है इक्वेटर 0 डिग्रीज, ये है 90 डिग्री नॉर्थ और 90 डिग्री साउथ, पोल्स. वेयर इज द हाइट ऑफ ट्रोपोपॉज ग्रेटर? ओवर द इक्वेटर. वेयर इट इज लेसर? पोल्स. व्हाट इज दिस डिफरेंस? 10 किलोमीटर्स. द एयर इज गोइंग टू राइज अप बाय 10 kilometers means whatever the temperature, air is going to cool at what rate? 6.5. So the temperature of the air is going to further cool by 65 degrees Celsius. So even if the temperature is यहाँ पे 35 degree Celsius and here the temperature is 0 degree Celsius, normal ground पे, air will rise up here for 16 kilometers, air will rise up here only for 6 kilometers. So air will cool lesser, air will cool more. Understanding this? Simple mathematics.
Sir, I got the maths, but I didn't understand the concept.
Air is going up, it is cooling. Where the air is going up more?
No, y -65 and y -45.
That is an average value. That is an average value. What is the concept? Concept is air is more colder at the tropopause over the equator than at the poles. Have you got that concept?
Yes, sir. Okay, it is tropopause.
So, tropopause की बात कर रहे हैं. We are not talking at the ground. We are talking at the tropopause. So, tropopause में the air is rising up more. Take an simple example, even those who are confused. 35 into कितना kilometers you will go up? 16. So 16 into 6.5 करो. How much it comes? घर पे जाके करना है सब, अभी मत करना. And then minus it by 35. Fine. And यहाँ पे 6 into 6.5 करना and then subtract it from 0. Which will be the more lesser? Equator पे. Because the air is rising more at the equator. 10 degree Celsius का difference is there. Have you understood? Is there anyone who is still confused? We are not talking about the ground. We are talking in the upper atmosphere. So you understand, अगर नीचे गर्मी जितनी ज़्यादा, the more heat it is down, the more cold it is up. And इसलिए atmospheric conditions are always opposite. If ground पे there is low pressure, ऊपर there is high pressure. If there is high pressure on the ground, ऊपर there is an low pressure. Getting it? Have you understood? So, anyone else in the class who is not comfortable with Hindi? You can understand a bit of Hindi, so he comes from non-Hindi speaking belt, so obviously he will not be knowing that much Hindi. Fine with this? Now take one more point. In the tropopause, in the troposphere, in the troposphere, in the troposphere, at the height of 6 to 12 kilometers from the ground, at the height of 6 to 12 kilometers from the ground, there are high velocity winds. There are high velocity winds known as jet streams. They are known as jet streams. They are known as jet streams. Can someone tell me why high velocity winds? Less upper atmosphere. So there is no friction, so speed increases. Fine with this? High velocity winds known as jet streams. Next. कितना स्पीड होता है जेट स्ट्रीम्स का? It is somewhere, minimum speed is 350 kilometers per hour. Maximum it can go up to 600 kilometers per hour. So if you are a pilot and if you are going in the opposite direction of a jet stream, 700 kilometers per hour is the speed of a plane and 600 kilometers per hour is the speed of a jet stream. Are you understanding? That is why name is jet streams. So that is my next point. Now, therefore, to avoid the variations in the weather conditions, comma, winds, commercial aircrafts generally flow through tropopause. So you have seen many times tropopause says the flight which goes, it leaves a tail of cloud behind. Can someone tell me why? Why there is a tail of a cloud remaining behind? ये सारे applied questions है prelims के. Second, one is disturbance. Chalo, we can understand. Or with the coming up of winters, why smoke will come from the mouth? Condensation. That is, outside का temperature is colder. Our body के अंदर the temperature is warmer. So water vapor that comes out from our body will soon condense and ऐसा लगेगा मुंह में से धुआं निकल रहा है. The smoke is coming out of mouth. That is nothing but condensation, right? The aircrafts में engine में से high amount of water vapor and very hot exhaust is given out. So as soon as it comes out from the engine, it condenses and forms a tail of cloud. It is nothing but a simple principle of condensation, means water vapor is turning into water droplet or snow. The same condensation you see, mouth say, the same condensation you see every day in the morning if you have a habit of bathing with hot water. The hotter the water, smoke will come out. That is, there is evaporation. So water droplets are going up, but room temperature is cooler. So it will start condensation. Evaporation ke exactly opposite is condensation, and therefore we see the smoke coming out of any hot liquid. What is that? Hot body mein se evaporation is occurring. and when it is going up, there is condensation. Tell me, are you understanding this basic phenomena? We will require this. You will require this directly or indirectly in some of the miscellaneous questions which are asked in prelims, GK based questions, and you will require this entire concept in cyclones, anticyclones, weather phenomena. So in जब भी hot or condensation का second example is, if this glass has extremely cold water, what will happen outside? Water droplets. What is that? Room has enough water vapor, but this water vapor which comes into contact with this cold glass surface, water vapor will cool. Vapor will cool and form water droplets. This is what is condensation. अगर ये नीचे गिरने शुरू हो गए तो that is precipitation. Understanding? Condensation, clouds. Condensation, fogs. Condensation, dew. Condensation is frost. Precipitation is rain, snow, drizzle, hail, sleet. Whatever things fall down is precipitation. Whatever stays in the atmosphere is condensation. So your everyday life ka examples, condensation and precipitation. Tropopause, that distance, it will around be 5 kilometers के आसपास, 2 to 5, 1 kilometer भी है, 500 meters भी है. So what is the flight? See, your approach, if I will tell that approach in environment ecology, is known as anthropocentric approach. That is, we human beings are superior. We always think from our part, but what are we? We are nothing. What happened to the Malaysian Airlines? There was huge cumulonimbus cloud. Airline was flying on the top. It broke into two parts. One part went and settled near South Africa. Dusra part near Australia. It is we are such a small creation. We are nothing in front of nature ka forces. Everything is fine till tsunami comes. Fine with this? We cannot even fight jet streams. So all the concepts of troposphere, fine. Prelims ke liye, what are the points? All the weather phenomena, why the name troposphere, and what is the most important thing, that the temperature goes on decreasing. Then we come to the next layer known as stratosphere. Can someone tell me why the temperature increases? Which gases? Hydrogen, carbon is here also. See, ideally the temperature should have been decreased as we go up, right up to the mesosphere. But what happens in the stratosphere? When the earth formed, gases were arranged as per uska density, uska weight. So out of all the gases, nitrogen is heavy, so it is found down. But the lightest gas is ozone. So all the ozone went up and it got settled here in the lower stratosphere up to the height of 35 to 40 kilometers, 35 kilometers then. And this maximum concentration of ozone, वैसे ozone is found in entire stratosphere, this layer has the maximum concentration of ozone, and we will call this layer as ozonosphere. So stratosphere ka smaller part is ozonosphere. And why is the ozonosphere important? Why ozone gas is important? Because ozone has the property that it will trap the ultraviolet radiations that come from the sun. And because it has ultraviolet radiation, the temperature goes on increasing. Had the ozone not been there, the temperature would have decreased right up to mesosphere, and then temperature would have increased because you are going nearer to the sun. Understanding this? So why the temperature increases in ozonosphere? Because or in the stratosphere? Because it has ozone gas. Now the second question you should ask yourself is, before going for prelims, ये सब revise करके जाना. Lower stratosphere या upper stratosphere? Lower stratosphere. What is the property of ozone? Can I say ozone is most important, one of the important gases? Because of ozone we have life on the earth? Yes. Why? Had the UV radiations reached the surface of the earth, what would have been the effect? Australia?
Australia, what is happening? The ozone, no, it is not true.
Ozone, not Australia. The perfect example is Scandinavia. Higher countries. Australia is still tropics. So what would have happened is there had been greater increase in the skin cancer. Why? Because UV rays will cause skin cancers. That is one fine. But the second is temperature itna zyada hota, the heat would have been so high on the surface of the earth that life would not have been possible. So UV rays, do examples, generally what we read in the books is only one, that is skin cancers. Second example is the, that is temperature would have very high. So there are three types of UV rays, UVA, UVB, UVC. UVA rays still will come and go inside the surface of the earth. It will still enter. But UV rays are not that dangerous because long-term exposure to UV rays will cause cancer. This is what science says. Long-term exposure to UV rays causes cancer. More dangerous is UVB, जो थोड़ा बहुत आता है, because short-term exposure to UV rays will cause, UVB rays will cause cancer. सबसे dangerous is UVC. Instant exposure to UVC radiation causes cancer. So your sunscreen has broad spectrum. Broad spectrum means it will protect you against UVA and UVB. UVC, nobody can protect us because instant exposure. As soon our skin is exposed, it will result into skin cancer. Fine with this? Sun protection factor. How much blocking property is that of the UV rays? So that is. So that is the importance of stratosphere. Now, does stratosphere have life? अगर कल ऐसा क्वेश्चन आता है, no, except some bacteria. It has some bacteria, but majorly it does not have a life. Does it have clouds? Some clouds which are known as cirrus clouds. Fine. Does it have winds? No. It will not have winds. Does it have rainfall? No. It is all in the troposphere. So stratosphere, it is the second layer. It is the second layer. It is the second layer. This layer is important. This layer is important because in the lower stratosphere, this layer is important because in the lower stratosphere, there is presence of ozone gas. There is a presence of ozone gas up to the height of 35 kilometers. Up to the height of 35 kilometers. Stratospheric ozone is known as good ozone. Stratospheric ozone is known as good ozone because it blocks harmful ultraviolet radiations. From reaching the surface. And this protects the lower earth. From getting immensely heated. And also human beings from skin cancer. Immensely heated from skin cancer. But ये पूछा तो ही लिखना है, नहीं तो लिखना नहीं है. But increased emissions of ozone depleting substances. What are ozone depleting substances? CFC, HCFC, HFC, BFC, etc. ozone depleting substances. Fluorine does not cause ozone depletion. It is either chlorine, CFC, chlorofluorocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, bromofluorocarbons. HFC is hydrofluorocarbon. So जिसमें chlorine and bromine is there, it will cause depletion of ozone layer. Fluorine नहीं है. So what is present in this AC? These are new ACs. They have HFC. CFCs have been banned long back. HCFC has been banned long back. Understanding what is present in your DO? CFC. Agar your DO does not have a label of ozone friendly, that means it is CFC or HCFC are present in our DOs. What is present in the Baygon spray? HCFCs. So just write here ozone depleting substances in the bracket. ये अलग से topic है ozone hole. CFC, HCFC, etc. have reduced the thickness of ozone. Causing depletion of ozone layer. These gases are commonly used in refrigeration industry as coolants, or in aerosol industry as propellants. Pressurized cans में DOBO example है propellants का. Refrigeration industry as propellants, or in the cleaning agent industry as dry cleaning agents, foam making के लिए. ड्राई क्लीनिंग के कपड़ों का एक अलग से स्मेल होता है. व्हाट इज दैट? HFC, CFCs. आजकल CFC तो अनरेगुलेटेड इसमें तो है. आई विल कम टू दैट लेटर ऑन. फुल स्टॉप. नाउ यू टेल मी, एसीज कहाँ पे यूज होते हैं? इन द ट्रॉपिक्स और इन द पोलर रीजन? ट्रॉपिक्स सबसे ज्यादा है. HFC एक्सेट्रा यहाँ पे. DO इतना भी ज्यादा नहीं है कि इट विल कॉज ओजोन लेयर का डिप्लीशन. It is more of an air conditioning, refrigeration, coolants, etc. But where is the ozone hole? Arctic and Antarctic. Bigger is at the Antarctic. Can you tell me why? वहाँ पे who will use the AC? हाँ? क्यों? What is this? Air from the tropics rises up because of heat. It will go and settle down at the poles and it will be mixed here. हम pollution यहाँ करेंगे and the effect will be seen in the polar regions. Understanding this? हमारे यहाँ पे low pressure belt है. Air will rise up because of heat. Air हमेशा rise up होती है. You should have realized then itself why, or you should have asked me why the height of the troposphere is lesser over the poles. Why? Because poles is permanent cold. You have just seen cold air is denser. So the height of the troposphere is lesser because air tries to settle. Warm air is lighter. Warm air always tries to go up. So हमारा यहाँ पे height of the troposphere is greater because we are in the warm region. Understanding this? Why the height of troposphere is greater over the equator, which is the permanent hot zone, equator. Why it is lesser over the poles? Because it is permanent cold region. Understanding this? And therefore जितना भी pollution हम करते हैं, it will ultimately go. So remember, as of now, till we don't do the ozone depletion, I cannot do ozone depletion abhi, because for ozone hole depletion you should understand clouds. For clouds you should know pressure belts. Then we will understand jet streams, and then you will understand how the ozone hole is formed. So ozone hole, jet streams, these are core technical areas. Understanding this? So you can take down the maximum ozone hole depletion. Maximum ozone hole depletion has occurred over the polar regions. Ozone hole depletion has occurred over the polar regions. Has occurred over the polar regions. And the maximum is over. And out of the polar regions, the maximum is over Antarctica. So for the protection of ozone layer, just write this flow chart. We'll study it later, but you should have an idea of it. The first convention which came was known as Vienna Convention. Which year? 1985. 1980s में many people started dying suddenly of the skin cancer. Skin cancer का rates increased. So the people met at Vienna. Where is Vienna? Austria. It is a capital of Austria, not Australia. Austria. And here we signed a convention known as Vienna Convention, and this convention is on protection of ozone layer. It was a convention. What is the difference between convention and protocol? Paul Science students or anyone here? There is something that is you will study in polity, not in Paul Science. We will study later on in polity that there are two things. एक है convention and एक है protocol. Protocol is always binding. A convention has to be followed, but compulsory नहीं. So obviously कुछ हुआ नहीं, and therefore under the Vienna Convention, so I am taking the flow chart here itself, came a protocol under the Vienna Convention, what is known as an Montreal Protocol. In 1989. It was signed in 1987, came into force from 1989. जिससे we banned all over the phased manner, suddenly नहीं, phased manner में, all chlorinated and brominated hydrocarbons. Chlorinated and the brominated hydrocarbons. जिसमें there is chlorine and जिसमें there is bromine. It includes HFC, BFCs, CFCs. So क्या ACs चलना बंद हो गए? No. They were replaced by chlorine and brominated were replaced by C मतलब क्लोरीन है, fluorinated hydrocarbons. They are replaced by fluorinated hydrocarbons. That is, example है इसका HFC. Fluorine is not ozone depleting. Fluorine is good for ozone layer. So if this AC, जितने भी नए AC है, go home and check if you have a AC of recent time. या आपके AC में there is a technology known as instant cool technology. या fridge में there is a technology known as instant cool or Himalayan cool या turbo cool. That means it is using HFC. It is known as HFC or R22 or R23. That is a coolant. But come 2016, by Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol, which is also known as Kigali Agreement. Hmm? 1987. Entered into force in 1989, signed in 1987. Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol. HFC has been banned and HFC will be replaced. हर कंट्री को अलग अलग टारगेट दिया है, but totally replaced by, that means HFC also has been banned. HFC will be replaced by 2048. If we are developed nations, हमारे लिए टारगेट था 2035. They will not have HFC. If we are a developing nation, हमारे लिए टारगेट था 2045. But because we are non-industrialized developing nation, so India, Pakistan, Iran, Ethiopia, इन सब के लिए टारगेट है 2048. चाइना, ब्राज़ील, साउथ अफ्रीका के लिए टारगेट इज 2045. डेवलप्ड नेशंस के लिए टारगेट इज 2030. अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस? So I am asking you the same thing. Why? Why? Not because fluorine is harmful to greenhouse gas, but it is not because it is ozone depleting, but because fluorine, HFC, especially HFC, is known as a super greenhouse gas. Yes. What do you mean by super greenhouse gas? इसका मतलब है उसका heating potential is 13,800 times greater than that of carbon dioxide. So you have seen in the yesterday's lecture, that earlier lecture, just 0.01% increase of the carbon dioxide, इतना ज़्यादा climate change. IPCC का report came the next day, and you have seen how that is just 0.01% increase, and India का temperature has increased by 1.2 degrees Celsius. And if temperature in India increases average by 2 degrees Celsius, उन्होंने कहा है catastrophic effects will be seen in India. इसका heating potential is 13,800 times greater than that of an carbon dioxide, and therefore we'll call this as a super greenhouse gas. So you have to understand, जितना अंदर cool कर रहा है उतना heat is being thrown outside. उसका heating, and therefore HFC has been replaced. India will stop producing HFC from 1st Jan 2019. All the countries will start producing HFC from 1st Jan 2019, depending upon उन्होंने क्या sign किया है. So ये साल is the last year for the production of HFC. We have found a solution. HFO will do that. ये सब environment का part में detail. We have found a solution, hydrofluoroolefin. The only problem with the hydrofluoroolefin is they are environment friendly, they are ozone friendly. Olefins के साथ इतना ही problem है कि they cause cancer. बाकी कोई problem नहीं. So means अब I feel कि but in very limited quantity. कुछ सालों बाद AC पे जैसे टबैको पे वार्निंग आती है, वैसे AC पे वार्निंग आएगी, डोंट स्टे टू मच अदरवाइज चांसेस ऑफ कैंसर. सो द हाइड्रोफ्लोरोएलेफिन. Now I will come to your point also very shortly. Up, have you understood the stratosphere? Exam में ये सब नहीं लिखना है, but this linkages is all very important. This will help you for prelims also. So the three protocols, have you understood? Now we have written, if you go back, we have written good ozone. Stratospheric ozone is a good ozone. आजकल आप न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहे हो, you must have seen something what is known as an bad ozone. What is this bad ozone? Ozone is good if it is in the stratosphere, but ozone is equally a bad gas if it is present in the troposphere. So याद रखना, tropospheric ozone is known as a bad ozone. This will be done with the smogs. Yeah, tropospheric. That is why I say climatology, go home and revise it on the same day. बार बार करते रहो, attend the class regularly, because maybe you miss a concept today, आगे कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा. It is so interlinked. Where we are studying the ozone, where we will be studying the fogs, and uska impacts we will be studying in January when we will do the environment. Understanding, it is so much linked. We will study monsoons here, El Nino हम पढ़ेंगे somewhere else, and then May report आएगा regarding the current status of El Nino. If you do not understand the base of climate, it is useless to read the newspaper. You will not understand anything. So, climate regularly. Climate is very easy, very conceptual if you revise it. Otherwise, you will not understand anything in the climate. That uska target is, we are going to freeze the production from 2019 and we are going to stop the unka use by 2030. क्या नहीं
सर कार भी तो ऐसा ही है, शेवरले कंपनी इंडिया में बंद होगी सर, कार चलती है, that doesn't mean that कि सर वो 2050 पे
we have to adjust to the new technologies. Abhi existing companies are using HFC. They have to change the technology for olefins. Why India was not signing Kigali? Because India launched Make in India program, or UNEP said Kigali agreement. So Make in India companies यहाँ पे आ रही थी. Focus was on electronics, refrigeration, ये industries, because our population is increasing, and UNEP कह रहा है कि नहीं, अब ये सब stop करो. One of the reason why Kigali agreement, Make in India did not work that year was Kigali agreement. So I don't know what is sovereignty.
sovereign nation, why did we sign Kigali?
These are international agreements. Once you promise, it is not our shop. कि नहीं उधार नहीं है.
We are not bound to sign any
We will be signing. There will be international pressure also. We are a sovereign nation, yes, but there are some of the things that is not my topic. We have signed this, understood? So we have signed this. बाकी ये सब क्या है? I don't know anything. So mesosphere. Come to mesosphere. मेसोस्फीयर में कुछ नहीं है. Understood everything of the stratosphere? Mesosphere, in this layer, the temperature again decreases with the increasing height. The temperature again decreases with the increasing height. This is the coldest layer of the atmosphere. True or false? True. क्यों? क्योंकि temperature is -80. यहाँ पे temperature is -65. So कल अगर question आता है, which is the coldest layer of the atmosphere, tropopause or mesopause? Mesopause. This is the coldest layer of the atmosphere, having a temperature around -80 to -100 degrees Celsius. -80 to -100 degrees Celsius. This is also a dividing line. This is also a dividing line between inner and the outer atmosphere. inner and the outer atmosphere, mesopause wala, known as Karman layer, known as Karman layer. Karman layer. Now before I go, Karman layer, inner atmosphere, उसके बाद outer atmosphere. Mixture of gases is where greater, inner or outer? Inner. So density of the gases will be greater where? Inner or outer? Inner, because weight also goes on increasing. Therefore, what do you see? Why the mesosphere is important? Mesosphere is important because if any extraterrestrial object comes into the mesosphere, there is friction because of increase in the density, and because of friction, there is burning. So, meteors, that is the meteors or meteorites, or meteors burn. You can take down meteorites or the meteors burn in the mesosphere. In the mesosphere, because of increase in density, and the friction. Increase in density and the friction. So if you see a falling star, हिंदी में टूटता तारा, what do you do? Wish. याद रिवाइज करना कि वो मेसोस्फीयर है, rather than wishing. So वो रिवाइज करना, that is an example of an mesosphere. So, understanding current affairs, any spacecraft जिसका speed cannot be controlled, friction को reduce करने के लिए what do? You have to control the speed. But if it loses the contact with the control station, it will enter the mesosphere and go in flames. I am talking about Chinese spacecraft, which was falling down on the earth, and as soon as it came inside, it burned. Can you relate Kalpana Chawla incident? Yes. Can you relate the Kalpana Chawla incident? Understood this? Remember, this Karman layer is very, very important nowadays. The question will come on the Karman layer because there is a new sport that is there, that is people like to jump from this layer on the ground, what is known as space jump. You should not remember the jump, you should remember what is this Karman layer. It is a dividing line between the inner and the outer atmosphere. Fine with this? So we'll meet on, tomorrow is holiday.